Alright, here we go. So it all started with the French and Indian War, and that means the French and the British were fighting over disputed land. This land right here. So they're like, this is my land.
No, it's my land.
No, it's mine.
No, it's mine.
No, it's mine. This goes on for a while, until the British bring out the big guns.
That's too inappropriate for school.
Ugh, fine. So the British took out the real big guns. And even though they won that war, war costs money. So that left Britain in lots of debt. So the king thinks, we have no money. Where can I get money? Then he has this brilliant idea to tax the colonies. Yes, of course. I love taxing the colonies. Your Majesty, what would you like to tax? Paper? Tea? Hammocks? Let's tax the first one and the second one. And the third one. Are you sure? I really am a genius, aren't I? I'm so smart and awesome. Everybody loves me. It's not like these taxes I'm imposing will start a 7-year conflict of the colonists revolting and trying to be independent from their king or anything. Sir? Oh, you're still here. Get out! What followed was a 7-year-long conflict of the colonists revolting and trying to be independent from their king, called the American Revolution. One day at Boston, a colonist started making fun of and mocking a British soldier. The soldier did not like this and started crying. More and more colonists showed up to join in on the making fun and mocking, while more and more British soldiers showed up to defend themselves. The colonists began to throw snowballs at them. The snowballs turned into rocks, rocks into clubs, and clubs into hammocks. The British panicked. One thing led to another, and you can see where this is going. Boston Massacre was known as an unnecessary street fight throughout the colonies. 5 died and many were wounded. Many meaning more than 5.
Basically, King George taxed everything.
Can I get some paper?
Tax.
Can I get some glass?
Tax.
Can I get a fresh new hammock? What? No. Don't you do it.
Tax.
The thing about this taxing was the king wasn't giving the colonists any representation. So, naturally, the colonists think this is unfair and boycott and start propaganda. The boycotting escalated to the Boston Tea Party, where the Sons of Liberty dressed up as natives and had a tea party.
Actually, they dressed up as natives and then illegally went on a ship and threw a bunch of tea into the harbor.
Oh. Okay. Anyways, the colonists did this because they were boycotting and to spread the message that they did not want taxation without representation. Your Majesty, the colonists are boycotting and rioting. What do? We
could tax them.
Great idea! Wait, isn't that literally what we just tried and it horribly backfired? Sir?
So then King George shut down the Boston Harbor until all the crates of tea were paid for.
The colonists were outraged, so George Washington ordered militiamen to start arming and prepare for battle. George Washington was a smart guy. He had a very big brain. One example of this is that he vaccinated his soldiers with smallpox, so they would be immune. The Secret Six, also known as the Culper Spy Ring, was George Washington's spy network to provide him with information about the British. The group was made up of 6 spies, 5 guys and 1 girl. They played a crucial part in winning the war, providing information that would help greatly. The British learned that the Continental Army had weapons in Concord and set out in the middle of the night to go destroy them.
Patriots like Prescott, Jack Black, and Dawes rode ahead to warn them that the British were coming.
2 groups met in Lexington and then someone shot first.
Both sides shot and the Continental Army lost. They retreated back to Concord and the British followed. What the British did not know was that the Continental Army had reinforcements in Concord. They fought in Concord, and then the Minutemen pushed the British back to Boston and surrounded the city, sieging the British.
Later, Benedict Arnold heads up to British Fort Ticonderoga in an attempt to raid it of all its guns and ammunition.
The Green Mountain Boys and Arnold successfully capture the fort with little resistance.
A month later, the British Army makes their first major attempt at escaping the siege. The British advanced up Bunker Hill until the Continental Army runs out of ammo.
While technically a victory for the British, the Continental Army had less casualties than Britain.
After the British soldiers got scared and left the colonies, Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense to convince people that being under Britain rule was just unreasonable. Then, declaring independence started being seriously considered.
Jefferson was chosen to get started on the Declaration of Independence, and get started he did. He said that all men are created equal, except the hundreds of slaves he had, and they have inalienable rights, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Then, on July 2nd, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed. Thomas Jefferson proclaimed that this day would go down in history. Then a couple days later, July 4th, became a day that would go down in history. That's when the United States was born.
Yay, they're finally free from Britain. Well, not exactly.
Your Majesty, the colonists declared independence. What do?
We could tax them.
Great idea. Wait. So then the king sends an intimidating 25,000 British soldiers to New York to kill them.
When the soldiers got there, Georgie Washington was kicked in the butt. Battle after battle, they lose to the British forces. People were starting to question Georgie's leadership.
It was winter. The American forces had little food, and there was no fighting going on because of the cold. Nobody expected an attack in the winter, so Georgie planned an attack in the winter.
He took the army, loaded them in boats, and drove them across the Delaware River and captured the drunk German Hessians easily.
The colonial army was still failing miserably, so Benjamin Franklin was sent to France to convince the French to support them.
France said maybe. We just don't think you will win.
Then at Saratoga, George Washington won.
We want to join.
Now the French gave the colonies guns, cannons, ammunition, and lots of soldiers to back up the colonists.
Okay. If you're gonna take one thing from this whole video, it better be this.
Introducing the man, the myth, the legend. The only one that should be on our class hero board right now, but for some reason isn't. John Paul Jones. The guy was so savage. He went to England and stole ships from the coast and took them to other countries.
I love this guy.
Cornwallis then moved to Yorktown, where the colonial army and the French Navy blocked the British, and eventually the British surrendered.
America was free from Britain.
The Revolutionary War was over. America was a free and independent country, and they had absolutely no problems. Well, except that their government was broken and couldn't be fixed, or that slavery was still a major issue but they didn't address it till years later, or they were in major debt because of the war. But that's for another video.